Don't try to memorize anything here, because the words that come from a common source to which we are all aligned. We'll be talking about the Sutras, the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, and the purpose of these sutras. These sutras are ancient in origin, perhaps 2,000 years old. These sutras are words or phrases, and the word sutra actually is the origin of the word suture, meaning stitch together. What are we stitching together? What are we integrating? We're stitching together this outward, relative, phenomenal life that we see to stillness, to the deepest part of our own awareness, our own pure consciousness, the source from which all sutras blossom. And the place to which all sutras die. Sutras come from the finest level of relative existence and blossom forth with a particular vibration. How does that translate? As we say particular sutras, each sutra has a particular quality to it. As an example, the quality you feel when you say the word love is a completely different quality than when you say the word broccoli. We feel that, and we're going to call those different qualities flavors. As we allow the sutras to blossom up from the stillness of our own being, and then die into that stillness as we let it go, oftentimes the perfume of a particular sutra is a quality or a flavor. Why the sutras? Of what practical value is it? They're also known as siddhis, which means powers, beginning to gain powers. It's been said when you practice the Yoga Sutras, you become a master of this dimension, a master of creation. That's not why I share them with you. To become a master of a certain power, an ability to levitate, the ability to read minds, the ability to be a psychic, know what people think, feel. That's one individual facet. As we practice the sutras, each time the sutra comes up and we let it go into the stillness, as we move into the sweet, quintessential stillness, we fall into our own origin, our own authentic identity. As we emerge out of this stillness, we begin to watch the sutra from a very subtle level, rising up, moving like a subtle feeling, a subtle fabric, until it continues rising up into a thought. And then we let go. And as that letting go happens, the reverse of the original process occurs. We move from the word to letting go to subtler and subtler and subtler feelings. And then we transcend into the beautiful infinite bath of stillness. The source of all intelligence. The intelligence that runs the seasons on our planet, orchestrates 100 billion galaxies in the universe, beats our heart, runs our kidneys, brings day in and brings night in. That same intelligence you access as you fall into the stillness. For most people, life is made up of a thought rising up. And the perception is, that's my thought. It came from my brain. The truth is, that thought rose from the stillness. A scientist would call it the quantum field. Chinese might call it the Tao. Mystics call it the absolute, lively intelligence, pure presence, pure intelligence. What most people do with that thought is very important with respect to the evolution on Earth today. The first thought that emerges out of that stillness is the I thought. Me and my problems, me and my fortunes, me and my things. And as the pure light of stillness then filters through that original I thought, just like a light through a prism, it creates many. Sees many. It sees this and that and you and me. Multifarious, multiplicity, separation. When a thought comes and we grip that thought, because from the I thought springs forth a desire. I want. I don't want. If I want that desire, then I begin to chase that desire, that form, and try to grab it. I try to get it. I try to get it for a me. And I might get that desire. But those of you who are alert, spiritually awake, see, once you get that desire, in that moment the ego is suspended and you've fallen into the desireless state. And that's what causes the happiness, the joy, the peace temporarily. feel these words. In the moment in which you get your desire less for a moment, and you fall into that stillness. There's no desire in that moment. So why do we do the sutras? Because the old wiring of the brain had it such that we must chase our desires. We must get our desires. As you begin understanding that by desiring people, places, and things, it isn't those objects that brought you the happiness. It was the desireless state. And rare is it the person that comes in contact with the teacher who will teach them the sutras. Because what the sutras do is rewire that thinking to line itself up more with the divine plan. Rewire that thinking such that instead of chasing things in life, again chasing them on this horizontal dimensional level, we have an opportunity to begin to truly understand how things rise out of stillness and fall out of stillness. You see, it's not so esoteric. Everything of form lives and dies. And the sutras simply mirror that natural process. But in mirroring that natural process, what people find is they're less attached, less gripping to life. And what does that result in? More allowing in what is. And when we allow what is in life, life flows. Contentment blossoms. Peace becomes the bright thread in your life. So the sutras are designed to minimize the gripping. See, the habitual compulsive nature of the mind is to go out and grab an object of perception, whether it's a person, and if that object of perception doesn't do what you want it to do, then you get jealous. Or money, somebody tries to take it from you, you get greedy, fearful. Or something else and we get anxious. That's the compulsive nature of the mind. And what the sutras do is they begin to quiet that compulsive nature of the mind, begin loosing its strands, because the mind quiets. And we fall into that stillness between each sutra. And as we become familiar with the stillness between each sutra, it begins to beckon us. It begins to seduce us deeper and deeper into this stillness until there's a recognition that that stillness, that deep peace, that uncaused joy is what we've been looking for our whole lives. It wasn't this, it wasn't that. It was that deep peace. And the thing that stood between us and our natural happiness was a misunderstanding of desiring forms would bring us that happiness. So when we, number one, understand that nothing out here will make you absolutely happy. Relatively happy, yeah, but not absolutely happy. And number two, when you practice the sutras and you begin to decondition and losing the grip of the deep grooves in your mind, the vasanas in your mind, so that the mind begins to quiet, the curtain parts, and your true, resplendent, self-effulgent, divine self is revealed.